The story of cod's rise and fall is one that's been woven into the fabric of every Newfoundlander's life. Growing up in St. John's and Goose Bay, I experienced those dark days that came as a result of the moratorium, yet I didn't realize at the time that what happened here on the Grand Banks would be a window into what is happening across oceans everywhere. But there is hope. We are seeing evidence of that in our waters, and there's no better place on Earth than here in Newfoundland to prove that ocean recovery is possible. With you on our side, WWF is helping transform the way that we protect, conserve, and work in our Atlantic waters. Together, let's rebuild a thriving ocean, teeming with life and with opportunity for Newfoundland's next generation.
I was looking out over the rail of the ship, and there was a ripple moving rapidly across the water, and there was no wind. What's going on? There's a gust of wind coming across, but there's no wind. It wasn't wind. It was fins of thousands of cod moving on the surface in a big school. By the time we got to early 90s, it was very clear. It was all over.
By taking cod on as a symbol, what WWF embarked on was a journey of hope towards finding practical solutions to the recovery of the Grand Banks.
The problems on the Grand Banks exceed the ability of any community, any fisheries group, any provincial government, or even the government of Canada.
So the leadership has to come from elsewhere. It has to be credible leadership, and people have to believe and want to believe that it's going to work. To me, that's where the World Wildlife Fund comes in.
What's special about our Oceans program is that we work on all three coasts. We understand the issues on all three coasts, but we see it as a national issue. We want to inspire Canadians to see it likewise.
We look for leadership, and we look for strong commitments and sticking to those commitments, and WWF plays a role in bringing people together, celebrating these successes, helping to find solutions, and lobbying and trying to ensure that they're put in place.
We're going to have significant growth in world population in the next 20, 30 years, and we only have a limited amount of wild fish to supply, and we got to ensure we maximize that and fish it sustainably and get it at a level that we can get maximum return from that. And I think we all have to be partners in that process.
Loblaw made a huge commitment to sustainable seafood for a number of reasons. I think ultimately it's because we really want to sell fish to our consumers. The very crucial piece and very strategic issue is that we trade in Newfoundland, and we want to ensure that we give our consumers in Newfoundland caught fish. Not only is that obviously important to the consumers, we also happen to believe that it's some of the best cod that exists in the world.
Well, if you look at our key species, and believe it or not, our most valuable species in terms of sales dollars, not the one with the most pounds, but the most valuable species in terms of sales dollars is still cod.
For us to have a viable cod industry in Newfoundland, we need cod to be sustainable. So by working with our partners, we've been able to make substantial changes very quickly.
The Fisheries Improvement Project is all about improving the 3PS cod fishery on the southwest coast of this province and bring it to a point where in the future it will be able to become certified under Marine Stewardship Council standards.
We're selling in 35 countries around the world now, and in most of these places people are demanding sustainable seafood. And you know, every year we're getting a growing list of customers that demand that we show them what we're doing in that regard. And we have a commitment that you know, we'll have all our seafood certified or in the process of being certified by 2013. We have about 70% that are MSC certified now, and certainly we're going to continue to work with all parties to try to advance that in the coming years.
Sustainable seafood markets are a powerful agent for change. WWF's vision, however, includes a much broader suite of conservation tools that complement the sustainable seafood market, and it includes an expanded network of marine protected areas, as well as smart oceans management in the areas between the protection zones. And last but not least, WWF Canada takes into account the livelihoods of people who sustainably use the ocean.
We start with the harvesters, then we need to start with the associations that are various associations in Newfoundland, and all collectively together we can make this a success.
It's not a simple process of just one year is going to be better than the next and the next and that. There'll be some ups and downs, there will be stops and starts, but overall I think we're on a rebuilding track.
Newfoundland and Labrador is a no-brainer. We were built on fish. Our communities, our coastal communities, is certainly still very heavily relying on the fishing industry. I believe that there is a future for the coastal communities.
The tide is turning. There are still certainly issues to be resolved. I think within the context of the Canadian environment, within the US environment, within the European environment, there is clearly now a groundswell that is ultimately in motion, and we're starting to see that.
It was a devastating blow in the early 90s when the fishery was shut down to anyone that was close to it and whose life depended on it. And we still feel that personally, and we really want to see the recovery come and to be a part of that.
I think everybody involved realizes that World Wildlife Fund, at the end of the day, the objective is to restore and rebuild the ecosystems on the Grand Banks. And I think that benefits everyone involved from the community level right throughout the province and throughout the country.
When you go to these places like this, places like where I grew up, places like Newfoundland, and you fall in love with the place. And you realize, if you think about it for more than a minute, that these places only have a future if the people who live there have a future.